Now we're going to go through the process of adding and editing media using WeVideo. So once you have an idea about what your video is going to be about, we're going to go ahead and start with stock media. This is the media that's going to search the WeVideo archives. So my video title is lizards, so I'm going to make mine about lizards. I'm just going to go ahead and search keyword for lizard here. Different types of media will come up. If there's a time clock in the top right here, this is a video. If there isn't, then it would be an image. You can go ahead and separate up here and search. So let's say I want to start out with a video. I'm going to go ahead and click, and now I can preview it over here by just clicking it and playing it. If that's the one I like, what we do to put it in is you click, hold, and you click and drag. And we're going to put this into video layer 1. Our audio layer is here, and this is where our audio will eventually go. What we're going to also discover is that these video layers and how they interact with each other. And we're going to see that shortly. So I'm going to go ahead and to play it, a nice little shortcut to play your video or to preview it is just clicking the spacebar. So I'm going to click spacebar, and it's going to play. And I can press spacebar to pause. Now, once I put this media in, I'm going to go ahead and search for another picture. And let's go lizard, but this time let's get an image. So I'm going to go ahead and search through all my images here. I see this one, green iguana. Again, I'm going to click and drag this in, and I'm going to drag it right next to this. And you'll notice that it'll snap in place. So it snaps automatically in place. To preview the transition here, I'm going to move my click and drag my cursor. Some people call this a cursor, some people call this a slider. You can also click the timeline. So if I click 20, the cursor will go there and I can start playing from there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this here. And this is what the transition will look like. Just directly changes. We're going to add transitions later. And now at this point, we're going to add an audio file. To add an audio file, I recommend clicking the audio tab at the top here and audio here. You can go through free music. You can do sound effects. There's animals, hospital, nature, all different kinds. And then there's premium music as well. And they have different lengths. So notice the lengths of here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a sound effect. Because this is a lizard, I'm going to do nature. So it's easy. Go ahead and click it, and it'll preview. Okay. I'm actually just going to choose one, drag it in. And I'm going to drag my audio down to my audio layer. Notice there's a green box around it. That means that's an acceptable move. I'm going to go ahead and drop it there. So now, if I go ahead and play, we can kind of see the semblance of a video starting to be produced here. Switches, and there we go. Now, once I have the first portion of my media in, there's a couple things we can do to start editing. Number one is, as you accumulate media down here, you'll notice that here's a slider on the bottom right. This is your zoom feature. So you can zoom in and out to really get particular about how much you want to include or chop off or edit from the media that you have. So I'm going to use this zoom feature to zoom in a little bit, so it's a little more clear here. Now, one thing we can do for editing purposes is anytime you want to edit a file itself, when I click a file, notice that I see effects, I can delete it, or I can click this icon and edit it. Another way we can do is just double click it, and it goes to edit mode. And now we're actually editing this movie. I can enter a caption if I'd like to. And then there's different editing here. You can crop it, all kinds. You can animate it if you'd like to. You can change the color if you'd like to. So all kinds of features here. And then you can change the speed, how fast it's playing. So if it's 9 seconds long, you can slow it down like that. So there's lots of different things you can do here to modify this. I'm going to go ahead and click Save Changes when I'm done. Now, another piece of something I can do to edit media is I can do what's called clipping it or snipping it. And because WeVideo is an editing tool, let's say that I wanted this video to end at this point here. So what I'm going to do is I can cut that piece of media in half at there. And let's say I want to remove this portion, so I just delete it. And then now I can click, and I can move this next to here by clicking and dragging, snapping it into place. And now I notice that this lizard will play for 3 seconds. At 3 seconds, this will play all the way up until about the 8-second mark. And again, with videos and images here, you can actually snip them by doing the end here. I can trim the end if I want to. So I can shorten it in this way I can shorten it from the front as well. And again, I would click and move. If I want to move multiple items, I can click one item, or I can click and drag and highlight them, and I can move them together like this. Now my audio in this case is way too long, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim the end of this. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag it all the way to the end of my last image. And now the whole thing is 6 seconds. Preview. And there we go. In terms of editing our audio file, we have a couple options. We notice when we click the audio file, we can fade in, we can choose seconds, we can adjust the volume. This is the entire volume. I want it to be maybe 70% because it was too loud before. Another way we can do that is we have these dots right here. I can choose different points and I can click and drag this dot, and I'm going to tell it it's going to start at 0%. Now I'm going to click this blue line and another dot appears, and I'm going to say when it gets to this point, it's going to go back up to 100%. So it's going to kind of creep in and then be 100%, and then it's going to go. And so that's how we can edit the audio. Let's go ahead and spacebar to listen to it. Likewise, we can fade it out. And the music fades out with the video. So again, just some other stylistic choices here for how we can edit our media. Again, those same volume features are here as well. If you want to rename this file, you can as well. Background music. And so now we have our video, we have our media. And so now we have our video, and we have our image, and we have our audio file. The other type of media that we can add are media from My Media. So if we click My Media, this is the media that we had previously uploaded that we've shown before. It's here. You can click and drag these in if you'd like to and manipulate them in the same way that we've done here. Or you can create your own media. This will be covered later in this course, but you can create a narration. So if you click a narration, allow your microphone, and basically you will be talking while the video is playing, and it's going to record your voice for a voiceover. We'll go ahead and click record. I love lizards. Let's go ahead and stop that. We can play it. We can preview it. We can cancel it. We can record again, or we can save it. In this case, I trust it. I'm just going to save it. And now when you insert your narration as a piece of media, what it's going to do is going to create a new layer at the bottom. So we see we have a new layer called voiceover. We can rename this, of course, and all the options that we use to modify this audio we can do here. So we see that there's very similar. So now let's go ahead and preview. I love lizards. That was pretty good timing right there. If I wanted to trim my video, again, what I could do is I could click and drag it to where I wanted it to be to snip off all that extra stuff. And if I wanted to come sooner, I would click and drag it and move it either forward or backward in the presentation. I love lizards. There we go. I like where it is. So that's the voice. So that's the narration feature. Again, you can also do what's called a make a screencast, basically. So if you use Screencastify or other screencasting tools, this is very similar. You can record your webcam, your screen and webcam, and then a lesson later in this series is going to go how to make a screencast using these features. And again, you can also import. So if you have files that are on your desktop or in your downloads folder on your computer hard drive, you would browse to select them here. If you have items in your Google Drive that you want to have inserted or uploaded into WeVideo, you can access your Google Drive files from here, and then any other social media sites as well. And all of the media that you upload in this way through the import function will be going to your My Media section here, and then of course will also be accessed up here as well in this media tab.